Oh, we're getting good to go. Hey, welcome to another exciting adventure. I don't know about you, but I've listened to way too many podcasts and interviews where the person who is the host is just doing a rubbish job, and it's enough to make you unsubscribe for their entire podcast. Or if they're interviewing someone on an event and they're a panel host, and it's just dithering and going all over the place. Hey, Kieran, lovely to have you here. Oh, good to see you on the show. I don't know about you, I've seen too many of them, and they drive me crazy because there's a few very, very simple things you can do to make your interviews, your podcasts, your paneling sessions, your facilitation so much better. Hey, just so you know, my name is Warwick Merry. I am a triple certified presenter, a certified speaking professional, also certified virtual presenter. And today is all about how do you become a far better interviewer and host. Now, the reason this came up is I was talking to a couple of colleagues of mine who have been interviewed recently on different podcasts, and they were like, I will not promote that podcast episode. I'm never going to go back on that podcast because they just did a really bad job. And I want to make it, because it is easy to do a good job once you know the skills. So I'd love for you to know what some of these skills are. So let me just go through a few different things, and I'd love to hear your perspective in any podcasts or any interviews you've heard. Who do you like? Even at some of the big stream, people talk a lot about Oprah Winfrey, about her being a great interviewer. Yeah, I'm not so much. I'm a huge fan of Craig Ferguson's for reasons that will become apparent as we talk. Not so much. There's a couple of other. They're very bland interviews. So let me just talk about styles and some of the things that you may want to consider. Number one thing you must take on board, and it's quite simple. It's not about you. It's so not about you. It's all about the guest. What can you do to highlight the guest, highlight their skills, highlight their specialness? So what can you do to highlight that? Like, you've obviously invited them on for a reason. There's obviously some kind of information that they have. Let them give it. Too often what I find is the interviewee is going to ask them a question, the person answers it, and then the interviewer then goes, yeah, what I reckon is, and then they'll answer the question themselves. So it's almost like they're using the guest to profile how good they are. One of my speaker buddies, Alan Berg, who I was chatting with this morning, he said one of the feedback he got from his interview or one of his podcasts that he does is he talked about how thank you, Kieran. That's very kind of you. One of the comments that he got was that I knew that you could answer all those questions yourself, but you let the spotlight shine on the person you're interviewing. And that's so important. One of the reasons that Oprah has become so famous is not that she knows about everything, but it's just she interviews a whole range of different people, so people get that variety. And people are getting the interactions that they're after. So for yourself, how do you just let the guest put the spotlight on them, let them be the legends, and you get a bit of that legend rub off on you because you're the one now facilitating it. So make sure you let them answer the question. You don't need to give an example about everything that's going on. And the same if you're running a panel session and you've got multiple people you're talking to, don't ask everyone the same question. The panel will go forever. Get through the questions. So look at who's the best person to answer this particular question, and direct that question to them. If the other panelists have something that they want to contribute, often they'll say, hey, can I just add something there? And they'll do that. So do that. Be prepared. Like, if you're going to have someone on as a guest, make sure you've done the work. Yeah, that's so true, Kieran. It is all in the art of the question. And I've got to say, if you get nothing else out of this little sample today, ask better questions. That would be the thing that I would have, is ask better questions. Don't just stick to the boring stuff. Don't just stick to, like, I interviewed James Fell once, who Body for Wife is his thing. He's a very, very smart person and a very colourful individual. And he released a book, and somehow miraculously I got him on a podcast I was hosting at the time. And I just didn't ask the same question I knew every other person was going to ask. You know, I read through his book, and I sort of wanted to get a bit more about what was driving him rather than the book. And so I was able to ask a few of those different questions. This is where I said earlier about how I'm a big fan of Craig Ferguson. What he did every time, he used to host the Late Show before James Corden did the Late Show, is he'd get his question cards, tap them on the table, rip them in half and throw them away. And then just have this fantastic conversation with people. Ask, they were there to promote a movie, and he barely would mention the movie because he wanted to talk about the person and give a real experience you couldn't get anywhere else. And this is the power that you have as a facilitator or as a host, is you get to ask questions that no one else might ask. And so rather than just doing I've seen your latest film, what was it like working with Scarlett Johansson? What's it like being Scarlett Johansson? How do you deal with, it's like, we want to know something more about them. We want to get something deep. So, what are their driving forces? What are their reasons for doing this? What are they getting from what they do? Get better questions. It's so important. There's a media celebrity here in Australia called Rove Mcmanus, who had a show for ages. And I was never a fan. Nice guy, done some successful stuff. I'm not having a crack at him, but I was never a fan of his interviewing style because it was all very bland. It's really important to just get a bit edgy. You can be, there's three real types of interviewer. You can be a friend where it's all like, oh, isn't it nice? And we're all bouncing along. You can be a foe where you're one of those current affair kind of foot in the door, dodgy, hit them hard. Or you can be a really professional facilitator where you're approachable, but you ask some serious questions. As Danielle said, it's like when you get the higher quality questions going on, that is a far better interview. And it is nice to have them ahead of time. I wouldn't give all of the questions ahead of time because sometimes you want them thinking on their feet. You don't want that pre-scripted answer to it. So that can be a good thing. But, again, you are in control of the session. What do you reckon the audience want to know? Like, really think about that beforehand, and like, who's my audience? Because your podcast, so who's there, or if it's your event, who's in the room? What do they want to know? It may not be they want to know about their whole book catalog. They might want to know about a specific piece within this particular book that they're trying to promote, or there's a specific methodology that they're using. Then go drill deep on that if that's what your audience wants. And the other thing also is, don't pad it out. If you're finding that the interview's gone really boring, I've got to tell you, as a facilitator, you're in trouble when you're bored. So if it's over, end it early. Your clients will be grateful for it. But also, if you're getting a bit bored, make sure that you just will drill deeper, change your questions, go left field, do something different, crank it up. You're in the driver's seat. It's completely up to you to make it a better interview. And so regardless of who you've got in the seat, now some of them are hard, there's no doubt about it, and I think we've all had plenty. But, drill down, get a bit of contrast, to go from an opposing position, do what you can. But here's the thing, you must make it all about the audience make it all about the audience in terms of the content you're delivering, but make it about the person you're interviewing so that they feel special. There's been a couple of people of late who have gone on podcasts and they might say, hey, here's a new course that I'm offering, and the reason they're there is to share their expertise but off the course. And the host's gone, well, that's a lovely course. Hey, there's a couple of other courses I'm aware of as well. So here's, B and C. And it's like, why are you talking about, competing forces? So be of service. So don't make it an infomercial because people get bored. Like, seriously, I know for me, I watch quite a bit of YouTube clips, and when the ad comes on, because this video is sponsored by, I zip ahead. Not the paid ad that Google does, because I pay premium to not have those. But when there's the ad within the video, I skip ahead of it, because I don't want it. I'm happy to have a subtle bit, but I don't want the blatant. So don't turn your podcast or your interview into a blatant sell. But they're there for a reason. And, if you're at a conference and you are interviewing the sponsor, they're there to sell. So position it so you're selling, but without selling. So for example, you can ask a question like, hey, all these accountants, a lot of them have said that, reconciliations are a real challenge. How does what you're offering make reconciliation easier? So you're putting out a pain point, you're pointing out a solution, and you know ahead of time that they're known for their reconciliation bizzo. So you're able to promote it without making it a bit more subtle and actually answering questions that the audience have. So there are ways to do that. And then at the end, do the blatant promo. And I have even said, this is the time for the blatant promo. If you want to buy this accounting software, go here. It's an affiliate link. I make a bit, they make a bit, everyone's happy, or whatever it is. If you've got a guest on your podcast who've said they want to sell their book or sell their course or sign up to the newsletter, or they want to promote a particular link, make sure you use it and don't just flash it on screen going, oh, there's the link. But just say, hey, they've given their time today. They've got some extra information for you. Here's their link. Make sure you go to the link, register. You're going to get this, this, and this. It'll help you because you'll get that. I'm just going to leave this up there for a while if you have any questions about, So it is about, you want to promote them very quickly in that couple of minutes, but leave whatever the website is or whatever it is up so people can then continue to look at that. And then within the subtleness of your conversation, make sure you're promoting what they're after. They're just a few things. I just wanted to quickly give you a bit of a burst about how to be a much better podcast host, interviewer, or panelist or panel facilitator. Phew, I'm spent just talking about it. If you have any questions, reach out to me. I'm happy to help you. Hey, well, we're flogging things. Here's the blatant flog. I've got 7 keys to help you be a better online presenter and online presenter pro. So check them out. If you're interested, sign up for that. But I will be back again this time next week, Thursdays, 9 a.m. Melbourne time. If nothing else, when you're interviewing people, make sure that you are asking better questions, asking more interesting questions, and have a bit of fun as you do it. It is about your energy. If you're getting bored, switch it up. Going from left field. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Trish and Kieran and Danielle, for saying the lovely things. Yeah, and I think this is important, Danielle, in terms of you want a subtle and then a direct flog as well. Look, it's not going to hurt. People know they're there for a reason. All right, thanks for joining me. I look forward to your company next time, and it's been fantastic being here. This is the bit of live stream. I just move around a bit at the end because if you cut it too soon, it just sort of drops off. So I've started developing this little shouldery dance thing. Oh, yeah. All right, see you next time.